Coming into this draft, the top 3 was a lock of players like Jalen Green. Obviously, you have Cade Cunningham and Evan Mobley. But outside of that top 3, there were a lot of question marks with certain other players as they were considered either raw or just not good enough to become the superstars that many people think the top 3 can become. But there's a certain player that was taken outside of the top 3 that I want to talk about in this video, and as you can see from the title, it is Scottie Barnes. Because I think in this era of defensive versatility and three-point shooting, that a guy like Scottie Barnes would be perfect for the modern NBA, and though he has not played a single game yet, I'm pretty confident that he's going to end up becoming one of the biggest steals of the draft, if not the biggest steal, especially going to the Toronto Raptors. But before we get started with this video, make sure you drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel. My apologies for the lack of videos as of late. I just really needed to take a break, so if you could show support by dropping a like and a subscription, make sure you do that. And also check out Hoop Concessions. We just dropped our Eastern Conference standings predictions, and if you're interested in that, make sure you click the card on the screen. But without further ado, let's get back to the topic of this video and talk about why Scottie Barnes could potentially be the biggest steal of this draft. Coming out of Florida State, Scottie Barnes was seen as somewhat of a raw prospect because he has a lot of strengths and potential, but he does have clear weaknesses that make him a project player. But because of those strengths and the potential that the Toronto Raptors saw in him, they took a chance by taking him with the 4th overall pick, and considering that they have a void at the point guard position without Kyle Lowry and they're trying to build for the future, taking Jalen Suggs probably would have been the better or more suited pick for those plans. But instead, they took a gamble and took someone like Scottie Barnes. And that was pretty shocking to a lot of people, as many people look at Scottie Barnes as a projected raw talent and Jalen Suggs as the more NBA ready player. But when I look back on that pick, I actually love it even more now that I'm talking about it and thinking about it, and it's resonated over the course of time. Because as I've said earlier, the NBA right now is suited for guys like Scottie Barnes, because coming out of Florida State, this is a guy that stands at around 6'8", 6'9", with the 7'3" wingspan. He already has the size and length to be one of the most versatile players in the league on both sides of the ball. And in the NBA today in 2022, where you see players like Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and a bunch of versatile players that are capable of playing multiple positions and defending multiple positions, that is a very positive sign to see. And considering that Scottie Barnes is not somebody that I'm expecting to grow into a defender and instead just be a good defender out of the gate, I'm very anticipated to see how he's going to match up against some of the best wings in the NBA, because I expect his impact on the defensive side of the ball to be felt as soon as he touches down in Toronto for game 1 of the regular season. Because honestly, he's somebody that can defend all 5 positions, primarily the 5 in a small ball lineup, but he has the length to be able to keep up with guards and the quickness there, and he has the size and frame to be able to match up with some bigs and bigger wings. So if there's any guarantee with Scottie Barnes in his rookie season this upcoming year, it's his ability to impact the defensive side of the ball, primarily with his versatility alone. But then you get into his offensive game, and I will definitely admit there are some holes and weaknesses, but let's just talk about the positive first before we get into that. For starters, let's talk about his playmaking and passing. This is a guy that can run the point forward, and as I said earlier, versatility is the name of the game. Guys like Sabonis, Draymond Green, Giannis, they've proven that being effective passers in the front court, primarily at the power forward position, can be very beneficial for any offense, and I think that Scottie Barnes will cement that even further in this league, because he is a very good passer and playmaker, whether it's in transition or in the half court. Now I will admit, in the NBA in his rookie season, he may struggle with his jump shot, hence teams may not respect his ability to score, and his half court playmaking will suffer due to it, but his ability as a passer overall, whether it's in the transition or he's finding guys in half-court situations, whether it's in the pick and roll or they're just open on the perimeter or on a cut. I still think Scottie will showcase how good of a playmaker he can and will become in the NBA going forward. So do not sleep on his abilities as a playmaker and a passer, because I think the Toronto Raptors will peel all of that ability out of him. And even when it comes to his ability as a scorer, this is a guy that, aside from three-point shots within that area, he was shooting above 55%. That is huge, honestly, because it shows a high IQ when it comes to his ability to score, as he knows his strengths and weaknesses, and he's just not going to do too much. As because of his handles, not only does it aid him as a ball handler and playmaker, but it also helps him beat players off the dribble, because Scottie Barnes is going to be a matchup nightmare for certain players, because playing the power forward definitely gives him the advantage of matching up against some slow-footed players that he can easily beat off of the dribble due to his speed. Now, I do say all of these things that he is good at while understanding that he does have obvious weaknesses that made him a raw prospect in the first place. And all of those weaknesses are on the offensive side of the ball, so I really have no issues with his defensive potential, and I do think his defense is somewhat of a guarantee coming into the league. And I will admit, offensively, despite a couple of positives here or there, primarily as a passer and distributor of the ball, he does have some weaknesses that I have to address, primarily his shot creation and his ability to shoot from behind the arc. Because for starters, his handles are not elite by any means. I don't expect him to be beating guys off the dribble with crossovers consistently at all, because having a quick first step can only take you so far. As far as his shot creation goes, it's definitely lacking, so hopefully he can improve on that. And then as far as his three-point shooting goes, yeah, it's not good. He can't create off the dribble from behind the arc, he can't spot up behind the arc, and honestly, that's really concerning for me. But that brings me to my next point that I want to talk about, because those are really the offensive holes in his game, and it may not seem like a lot, but those are pretty big holes to have in your offensive game. But that brings me to my final point that I want to address, and that's the situation that he's in, being in Toronto, because we all know that Toronto has one of the best developmental staffs in the league. Look at what they've done with players like obviously DeMar DeRozan in the past, Chris Boucher, you have Van Vliet, who was undrafted. They have had a really good resume as far as building up talent and developing them. They have one of the best front offices in basketball, and I think that picking a guy like Scottie Barnes, who fits that prototype of a modern day power forward and the versatility, man, I gotta say, I think he landed in a perfect spot for him to develop into the player that we all know he has the capabilities of becoming. So in conclusion, shout out to Scottie Barnes and the Toronto Raptors. I really think that is a fit like a glove, and even if he doesn't have the best rookie season, I'm not expecting him to. I think guys like Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, they will be better rookies this year, but I think in the long run, a guy like Scottie Barnes could go down as the biggest steal of this draft. Many people may be asking themselves, how did he slide down all the way to number 4? It may not seem like that much of a drop off, but you really never know how these things pan out. I'm just saying. But that concludes this video, you guys. If you enjoyed it, make sure you drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to comment your opinions down below. What do you think about Scottie Barnes in his rookie year and him going forward with the Toronto Raptors? Do not forget to check out the latest episode of Hoop Concessions. The link is down below in the description box. This is your boy Young Mustard signing out. Y'all make sure you have a great day. Stay safe. Peace.